Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Lori, the moderator for this conference. Welcome to the ITC Infotech webinar on testing for SOA and the tools available in the market.
What SOA does is it takes these business operations and it renders them as kind of like the Legos in this picture, blocks that you can combine to form a business process. SOA separates the systems from the business operations they provide. And that's a key concept in the SOA idea, that you don't need to know anything about the system that implements the business operation in order to use the business operation in another application.
We've spent, a good portion of time at this, talking about what an SOA is and where you would want to use it. So now let's focus specifically on tools. I think, David and I, when we were talking about this, one of the most important aspects of, working in a service-oriented architecture environment is the ability to design and develop your own homegrown tools and scripts. So that really ends the presentation that David and I had. At this point, we wanted to turn it over to ITC. They'd like to present a case, and then after they present, we'll open it back up for questions.
So this, we talk about the testing methodologies. So on the functional testing, functional automated testing, and the performance testing. Our methodology or approach in this is testing here also was, first we go to the engine level, at the each service level, and then we will go at the channel level, and then we will go with the round trip level, that is between channel to the engine. This slide talks about our project execution methodology. We have a judicious mix of on-site and offshore components for various phases. If you could see, on-site would always be a thin on-site layer, and the offshore is a thick layer. First is to take into consideration the cost and leverage the time zone advantage. So this is about our project execution, where you could see the execution and the testing happening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Christensen, Mr. Kelly, and Mr. Narendra. We will now begin the Q&A interactive session.
I did want to ask Mike a question. I was watching ITC's presentation. I was curious, Mike, what do you think in terms of onshore, offshore testing effort related to an SOA? What are some of the things that make that more difficult, or other things you might want to think about in that environment?
So we're trying to do that with a company I'm working with now. And as we look at that problem space and trying to figure out what's the work that's best situated onshore versus offshore, and how do we make that relationship work, I think we found actually testing in the service-oriented environment that one of the easier places to do that, because you're dealing with such discrete units often, it makes it very easy to package the work and move it from one team to the other. And much like, when I'm talking about what you could do with SoapScope and, move information very easily between developer and tester, I think when you're moving information between test teams or development teams around an SOA environment, one of the nice things about testing a service is that you do have a clear defined interface. You do oftentimes have a clear test bed and well-defined mapping documents for what you're moving towards, in terms of testing